Welcome back to the Other Side Lifestyle Podcast with Jim and Aram. Today we have the Bali residing, originally from Perth, nose picking, coffee drinking out of wine glasses, body positivity expert, Beck Antonucci. Was that good? Did I do
Wow,
okay?
that like really landed. I
It's
love
kind
it.
of, yeah. I brought the A game with the voice on that one, you know?
Yeah.
I really feel like we're all now.
Yeah, we're all one.
Well, like we like to do, we like to bring in people from the future, and because she is in a different time zone that is way ahead of us, she's probably a little bit better versed in solving our problems here in the past. And I connected with Beck through another page, and she does a lot of really great work with helping women rebuild confidence, helping women deal with sexual identity issues and stuff like that. So with you folks listening to our podcast, I know that confidence tends to be a big theme, and I know we always talk about how action steps is what creates our confidence, but a lot of times the work that you can be doing on the inside to build your own confidence is something that we really need to talk more about. So Beck, how did you get into this field? Is this something that you've struggled with yourself in the past? Like, give us a little history of yourself.
Well, this might resonate with a lot of your listeners. I really wanted to be a bodybuilder or a fitness model or a sports competitor or a bikini model. And I trained for all of those things. And I've competed professionally from 19 to 21 in all of those. And it stemmed from, I didn't know where the desire for this came from at the time until I've done all of this work on myself later down the track, but it came from a deep-rooted trauma. I was bullied really horrifically. I went to a private prestige all-girls school in Perth, Western Australia, and I was bullied by all the young girls there, including my best friend. And it felt like at the time that she turned the entire year group against me. And when you go to quite a prestige school, and my parents weren't wealthy, but a lot of the girls' parents were, being popular, being pretty, being wealthy were like the pinnacle of success in society and in school. And so that created that pain of being so horrifically bullied to the point of attempted suicide at age 15. That created.
I was going to ask, what kind of bullying did you experience? Like what do girls do at that age?
Yeah, I would not. So I was on every single sport team, and I was very studious because I had no one to sit with. So if I was on a sport team, I had a community to be a part of and something to do at recess, lunch, before school, after school, kind of like mitigated any fear of being screamed at, yelled at, chased, just essentially humiliated in front of a large group of people. Okay. So if I got an award at assembly and I heard my name, immediately awful things would start getting yelled out. Like, you're disgusting, your rank. If I got up on stage, they'd be yelling in front of 1,000 people in the assembly. The same thing when I got to homeroom every morning, my bully was in the room with me. So I would walk in and she'd just be screaming, just like awful names at me. But at 14, 15, I didn't know anything about the subconscious mind. My parents taught me, if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. Be the bigger person, just turn your back and walk away. But that, as well-intentioned as they were, that actually isn't the greatest resource to support yourself, because as a young girl and you turn your back and you walk away and they're screaming, you're disgusting, you're ugly, you're rank. The thought process that I had in the back of my mind was like, well, maybe I am all these things. And I carried that for so long, like I am all the things that they said. So when I got into the gym, because all I wanted to do was try and find a sense of safety for myself, and I thought potentially if I look physically strong, people won't attempt to hurt and harm me. Like, there was another thing that occurred after high school. I got my first boyfriend and he punched me in the head with a closed fist and knocked me unconscious. And that's how we broke up. So that was where my disordered eating and fitness journey came from. I was like, geez, everyone in the world wants to hurt and harm me. How do I get strong? And I was like, the gym must be the place. Even if I look strong, people won't know that I'm weak. I felt really weak inside because my truth was, I just wanted the popular girls to like me. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to have friends, and I didn't want my ex-boyfriend to do that to me. And I wanted him back. So I was like, I must be a really weak person. But if I change my physical appearance, perhaps people won't attempt to take advantage of me, hurt me, harm me, and I'll be safe in the world. So that's really where I could go on and on and on, but that's where it stemmed from.
Yeah. That's brutal. It's just crazy to be like just yelling out at people like that. Was this like pre-social media?
I literally thank God that this was pre-social media. I have like such a endeavor and a drive to support young teenage girls. I don't actually know how I would have survived with social media being around there. Like, I'm incredibly strong now, but back then, to know that a post has been put up about you, even though it doesn't even need to say your name, but everyone in school knows it's about you, and to not be able to even leave school and literally leave because online it's still all there and the bullying still exists. I don't know how I would have made it through that time.
I mean, there's groups of kids at schools that make Instagram accounts just to make fun of people. Where it's like, you got featured on whatever, on their high school's basically bullying account kind of a thing. I mean, that's crazy. The fact that you didn't bring that up at all is one of the ways of bullying. That's why I ask. I can't tell how old you are, so I don't know. Look at,
30, I'm 35 years young.
You just missed it, right? It was probably what, like 2009, 2010 that Instagram and that kind of stuff, I guess, kind of started, maybe middle school age.
Facebook became a thing when I started doing the gym. Like, I remember as soon as I got into the gym, Facebook started, and we were all like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
So while you were going down the road of fitness and trying to transform your body, was there anything being done at the time to start working on the mental health, or was it fully a physical endeavor that then the mental health stuff came later?
Physical, because I didn't understand and I didn't know. And the gym created a huge sense of empowerment and strength. And I didn't know that it was coming from a wound. And I believe that in anything that we do from wounding is only going to create more wounding. So it wasn't actually coming from an empowered place. It was coming from deep-rooted fear. I don't want to be all the things the girl said to me. I don't want to be weak. I want to be accepted. I must go to the gym and I'm going to get that strength there. But what happened, I have quite like a naturally muscular body, and I'm also very dedicated and determined and disciplined. So I got a meal plan from my female personal trainer that was like chicken and broccoli and 12 almonds and your protein shake and your sweet potato and all the things and the exact grams. And I was like, I'm going to do exactly what she says. Now, I'm Italian. We eat pasta and garlic bread. Like, that's what we used to eat every day of the week. So I probably didn't need such a dramatic nutrition plan to make such incredible weight loss changes. But literally within 2 months, I looked like a sports model. I had abs. I have like quite a toned, naturally toned body. And all of a sudden I was training in this gym in Perth, Western Australia, where like all the cool people trained. I'd never seen a muscular man before. I went to an all-girls school. I'd never seen women training for a TV show called Gladiator. So there's bikini models and bodybuilders and all these people that in my like young 19-year-old mind, I'm like, they're all cool. And because my body changed so much, everyone noticed me. So all of a sudden, people are coming up and acknowledging me, asking my name, inviting me places, wanting to work out together. Men are dating me. Facebook was new. I had all these Facebook friends. People were interested in me. I'd never received that before. So all of a sudden, I had the thing that I thought that I was never going to get. And it created actually an addiction to the food that I was eating, how little or how much I was eating, what I looked like in the mirror. And no matter how much weight loss I lost, it was never enough. And then that created the binge eating. I know you guys work in pounds, but I would gain 20 kilos. I would lose 20 kilos of being incredibly thin. I'd be bulimic. And it would just created a roller coaster for about 10 years.
And so that you got into the gym at that 18, 19 or earlier than that?
18, 19.
18, 19. So you're dealing with these ups and downs for 10 years, going into your late 20s, almost 30 years old. The one thing that you just said, and we can maybe transition to it as we get into different topics about the healing. What did you say again? That when you're taking the action
from the wound.
From the wound, how it never actually really did. And we had spent some time talking about like OnlyFans and the sexually liberated state that we're in. We had a little conversation about it. So even this is also stuff that you deal with. I know this false sexual liberation. Do you see this where these people are trying to act, not recognizing the wound, thinking that they're liberated, but not really liberated, and digging themselves potentially a deeper hole? I know it's a little shift in topic, but it's on that same idea. And since we just talked about it recently, I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in Bali right now, and there's a lot of people that work online, and I've made a lot of girlfriends here. And many of them are fitness influencers or fitness online coaches. And then I also work with like online coaches that support your internal world, that are really embodied in their sexuality or their sexual expression. And what I've recognized with all the fitness, like the Fitspo ones, is they have these incredible bodies. They're like ripped, lean, abs, like their whole Instagram, like that's their work, and they love the work, they love the training, they love supporting clients to create that body composition for themselves. But something that they've all reflected back is like, they don't have confidence naked. They don't have confidence in their sexuality. They don't have confidence in their sensual expression. If we go out dancing, they'll feel like really rigid and stuck in their bodies, and like they can't move their body in a way that to express themselves. So they have the abs, but I feel like it's really missing a component of embodiment. If you have this beautiful body where you don't feel sexual and sexy and can express that part of yourself, I feel like it's a real piece that's missing.
Well, that's the problem, is I think so many people are chasing this aesthetic and expecting that they're going to feel marginally or exceptionally better once they get to that body ideal. But then the reality is if you don't actually spend the time on your mental health throughout that physical journey, then you're just going to be that whatever, thinner, stronger, whatever person at the end of it. And nothing's really changed on the inside. You're still that same scared, uncomfortable, not confident human being that you were before you started. So what are some of the identity shifts and some of the language that you use to help your clients with starting to actually become that person before they've become that person?
Yeah, I mean, just understanding where it comes from, like where the seed of the thought of the fear comes from. For example, with my own personal journey, because we're using that as an example here, when I was like on the diet wagon, I would feel empowered and I thought that like I was saved. But that was just the Band-Aid from the wound of the fear, because for as long as you two told me I was beautiful and I had a great body, I'm like, they're not going to hurt and harm me. They're not going to do anything mean to me. I'm accepted. But I thought what I was looking for was your validation. If you hear what I just said, it was acceptance, but it wasn't actually your acceptance. It's my own. And so that was the work that I think like if you really wind it down and like unpack all of it, it's a deep rooted self-acceptance from within of yourself, regardless of what the external world reflects and represents, what the mirror says. Because I've been incredibly thin and seen a huge person, like air quotes, fat woman in the mirror. And then I've been like my healthy body weight now and seen a beautiful woman. And it's not actually about what we see. I believe that women see ourselves through the view of our thoughts, not through the actual reflection that's in the mirror. So unpacking where the trauma first started and what limiting beliefs it creates about yourself is a really beautiful place to start.
How did you, till 29, 30 years old, what did you do? What was that process like of your healing and you figuring this stuff out?
Yeah, trying everything outside of me to avoid looking within, getting the perfect body, the Instagram body, the sports modeling body, the bodybuilding body, the car, the boyfriend, the money, the business. Like I tried everything. I was like, something will just make me feel good about myself. And I would work so hard for this particular day. I mean, you probably hear it with women in fitness. I'd work so hard for the competition or the photo shoot. I've done the lingerie with the 3-kilo dumbbell and the ropes tied over my neck, thinking like this day where I experienced this thing. I've worked so hard. I've dieted for 8 months. And the day would come, or the whatever example of that it is, launching a business, the day would come where I'd do the thing and I'd achieve it. And I would expect like a feeling to land, and it would never land. And I was like, now I feel emptier, that because the journey was kind of exciting because you're working towards something. So I'm like, that 8 months felt good. And I was structured and disciplined and changes and motivation and people acknowledging me. And then the day comes where I've got it. And I was like, well, this isn't it. So
now what? Yeah. Now what? I've said that before in a post along the lines of, because a lot of people, I think they're trying to have this maybe body change to almost impress their friends or get this acceptance from other people. Let's just say they do compliment, like, wow, you look really great. Well, what are you going to do when they stop saying that? Because they're not going to say that every day for the rest of your life. So it becomes that now what kind of feeling if you haven't figured out that inside stuff. If you don't have that confidence before you get there, what makes you think you're going to automatically have that confidence when you're there? So what did you, so after you tried all that stuff and you still felt that way, like that podium syndrome, like when we had Paul Bono on talking about, he's on the podium in the CrossFit Games and he's like the most depressed he ever was. What were your steps? Did you see somebody? Was it just you acknowledging, hey, I got something going on? Why is this?
So number one, I love that the acknowledgement of like, no matter how much validation I get, once it stops, then what? And for me, it was like these temporary, like your compliment felt so good, but it didn't last. So it was kind of like an addiction to it of like, okay, well, now I need the next person to acknowledge and validate me. And it's this constant chase for it. But for me, at age 25, I slept with a male friend who promised that he was STI free, and he passed on the herpes virus to me. And that rocked my world in the hugest way, because all I was searching for was love and acceptance outside of myself. And now I'm this beautiful woman in society who's incredibly terrified to just express myself courageously and be herself without needing to look a certain way, sound a certain way, present herself a certain way. And I had this belief that I'm the only woman, the only beautiful woman in Australia or the entire world who carries this stigmatized virus. I was searching YouTube, Google, no one was talking about it. And it was consuming my thoughts all day long. Like food and body image went out the window. All I could hear was this siren in the back of my mind that said, you have herpes. No one will love you. No one will accept you. You've ruined your life. You have herpes. And that to me was like, I have tried everything and everything outside of me to try and heal myself. And now the only place to go is within. So I started doing personal development. And that's what literally herpes saved my life from disordered eating. And personal development was over 10 years ago now, was the catalyst for all the change.
And was that just getting books, starting to listen to things, diving into YouTube channels? Was it you doing this stuff on your own?
No, I always loved being facilitated and mentored. So I was dating this young man, and he was a professional boxer, and I would never tell anyone about the herpes virus, but I told him about my body image stuff. And he was like young, ripped, abs, all the things. And I said to him, I go through a really hard time with my body. Yeah, he was hot. And he turned around and he said to me, you know what, Beck, me too. But I went to this course, and I don't advocate for it and I don't refer people to it, but it's where I started. It's called Landmark. And this was like 11 years ago. He was like, it changed my relationship with my body and it taught me how to express myself. And so that's where I started. And when I got into these workshop rooms, I saw all these people that I thought were like successful and had all the things that I thought that I was working towards. I was only 24, 25 at the time. These people were 10, 15, 20, 30 years older than me, saying that they had all the things but felt empty on the inside. And I remember being 24, 25 and thinking like, shit, you got all the things that I think that I want and you feel empty. And you're like, I'm feeling this now. I've got to do this work because I'm not going to spend another 10, 15, 20, 30 years just to then get in a room and be like, I've got the husband, the kids, the house, the business, and I don't love myself. Yeah. And that was my penny drop moment of like, oh, I've got to do the work on what's going on inside of me.
Do you remember a moment that was like a groundbreaking moment for you in that process?
Yes. Being on the beach in Perth, Western Australia, like literally on my knees praying to God, being like, why did you do this to me? Why, like, of all, like, I've had such a hard time. I thought food was here to ruin me. And now you've given me this stigmatized virus. I can't have it come out. Like, it wouldn't come out of my mouth. I was like, why? And I remember just like hearing this voice that was like, Rebecca, when are you going to learn how to love yourself from within? Like, this is your greatest gift, even though you think that it's not. Like, I, at the time, was like, I will die before I ever let anyone know this thing about me. Yeah. Like, suicide ideation, like, rattled me for about 60 days. I was like, I do not want to be here living with this. And that moment of like, this is your journey to learn how to truly love yourself and feel worthy from within rather than what you look like. And that was like oh God, is this my journey? This feels hard because I don't know how to do
herpes. This was the one you had to do. You know, you couldn't have broke my leg. What is going on?
You know what, Jesus? Though? Actually, I remember hearing a voice that was like, it's going to, like, avoiding the pain is only going to create more pain. Yeah. Do you want a car accident? Like, what do you want next?
Yeah, I'll keep breaking you down until you submit to loving yourself.
I had so many experiences. Like, I came at 22, I came back from the Philippines with like a horror overseas breast surgery. Like, you know, those TV shows Botched?
Yeah.
My breasts look like that. Like, I had and I was like, why me? Like,
we're going to flash a picture on the screen now. All right, there they are. They're,
you know,
yeah.
They've been corrected since then, but I did put it up on my social. They were a horror job.
Wow.
And I have so many examples of me being like, why is this happening to me? But I was just getting signs and signals being like, love yourself from the within. Perfect breast isn't going to be the thing. So yeah.
Was there?
So I think the important part of this and what people really need to take away from this specific part of this conversation is that she had multiple things that challenged her throughout a relatively short period of her life. I mean, even
Yeah.
at 35, most of my clients are 35 or older, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they still live in this victim, woe is me, life sucks mentality, despite really not having all these challenges. And I think the more you get challenged and the more you fight back, the more you keep showing up as this person who's resilient to stress, resilient to problems. And of course, it's going to be bad. I'm sure there was days where you wanted to quit. I'm sure there's days today where you still want to quit. But the reason why you keep going and the reason why we keep standing up is because if we don't, what is the alternative? And I want you to talk about specifically, like when you empower your clients and you have these conversations, do you ever bring that alternative up? Like if you didn't do this and if you didn't fight for yourself and if you didn't advocate for yourself, what would be the other option?
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, there's like, you're a sovereign being. You can do what you want. I can sit on the beach and be like, why me? And I'm the only woman with this, and life sucks, and I'm ruined, and love doesn't exist for me now, and I hate myself. And cool. If you want to choose that reality, Rebecca, or any woman listening to this or man listening to this, you can stay there. And what does your life look like staying there? Why does it feel so safe to stay there? There was a part of me that felt
that's the interesting part is that safety that you have.
But yeah, that's it's the analogy of the person who like never leaves their home because it's safe, and they're like, it's just, I'm just going to stay in the house because it's safe, and then they never actually get to enjoy life. They're safe, and that's all that matters to them.
And it's such a trick though, like a trick of our ego. It was like, well, if I do this work, then I'm going to have to express myself courageously, and you're going to know this thing about me, and then you could reject me, which is ultimately underneath, we all carry core wounds. Betrayal, abandonment, rejection are the three most common. Mine was the fear of rejection, but for as long as I wasn't willing to do the work, I'm every single day self-abandoning and rejecting myself. So the thing that I'm attempting to avoid the most, where I'm tricking myself into believing I'm safe because you two can't tell me that I'm awful, bad, unlovable, unworthy, not sexy, all the things that my head had said. But every single day I'm just perpetuating, well, for as long as I avoid you two rejecting me, I'm just rejecting myself. So the pain still lives inside of me, no matter what.
And how great is it to be in that place? It's like a coffee filter. I mean, you're able to filter out the people that should not be in your life when you're actually being your authentic self. And if they don't like you, cool, sweet. You don't like me, I'm not your cup of tea. Peace out. Now I don't have to deal with spending energy trying to impress you. Not everybody is for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I work primarily with women, and they're desiring like deep intimacy and connection, not just with their male life partner, but with their friends, with their community. But mask only attracts mask. So when there's a disconnect, if you're not being your true authentic self, and then you're hanging around with people where you're like, this is boring, I'm not enjoying it, I feel like I need to put on a front. Like the greatest liberation here is actually being your truest self, because it's going to magnetize towards you everyone who actually truly aligns with you, your beliefs, your values, what you love to do for fun and enjoyment. It's also going to be a repellent for anyone that doesn't align with that. Some people are going to think my social media is too much, and that's totally okay, because lots of people love it. And I'm not here for there's a whole pond of fish that don't want to swim with me, and I don't want to swim with them. And then there's a whole pond that really want to play. And I'm like, let's go. Why would I go to and try and fight? And like, it's like I'm trying to fight for the rejection wound of like, I will fit in with the people that don't want me. Yeah. And I want to prove that, versus just over there is a load of people that love who I am and how I express myself. So why don't I go play there?
Yeah.
It just comes down to that story that you tell yourself. And I think we've all been in the relationship that we stayed in for too long that we should have gotten out of earlier.
Tell us about that, Aram.
We don't have.
We're gonna.
Beck doesn't have the time. It's gonna be Thursday by the time I finish the story.
Plot twist. This is going.
I know, my deep dive. Texted me on Saturday. I'm like, really, we're doing this?
It's the relationship that you should have left that you didn't leave because it was comfortable. It was too hard to have that conversation. It's the job that you're sitting at that you're not happy with, that you don't want to admit because it keeps bringing you some sense of security. It's the friends that you continually placate towards, even though you don't really enjoy their company anymore. And people are so afraid of this idea of being uncomfortable for even just a little bit. So we just keep chasing this dopamine, whether it's validation, likes, compliments. And don't get me wrong, I think I spent most of my life that way, and I still enjoy it. Like when somebody says something nice to me, like it fuels me, it fires me up. But I don't sit there and I don't wait for it anymore. Whereas before, I used to be in this very high sense of anxiety expecting it or waiting for it, and I wouldn't be fulfilled until it came. Now it's just a bonus. And the only reason why I got here is because I stopped giving a shit about what other people think, and I stopped caring and listening to myself. And I think that it's the problem is this is a soft skill, right? Nutrition, you can teach somebody. Training, you can teach somebody. Even meal preparation and time management, you could teach somebody. But when it comes to actually loving yourself, listening to yourself, and not caring about the other world, it's really more of a practice than anything else. So how do you get people to practice some of these principles?
Yeah, two parts to what you said there. Number one, working with an edging process around being in your discomfort so that when things are hard and challenging, you actually don't go into a deep state of panic and feel like you can't handle it. Change is hard. Change is like true. It's pushing up against the state that we live in. And so rather than trying to rip the Band-Aid, which isn't great for most people and it isn't sustainable long-term, it's just like pushing our growth edges so that we can create a new sense of safety in an expanded state so that we can hold change. Like I sold all my belongings and I moved to Bali this year. That was really hard. But
Loser. Loser.
Yeah, I had my eat, pray, love moment, you know.
It's funny because it's so easy for people to say like, oh, it must be nice, but that's a super brave, courageous, scary, risky thing. But everybody just wants to look at that and go, must be nice. You just be able to do that. Yeah. Must be nice to do something super fucking scary.
Broke up with my really nice boyfriend, who's a beautiful man, all left everything behind, did all things to like stay true to myself. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
I cut you off. I think there was something else that you're going to say.
Yeah,
so number one,
I do that sometimes.
Because you spoke about change and people not liking it, I would encourage everyone to work with an edging process to expand their capacity to hold change and be in the discomfort of change so that they can actually take more brave, courageous, aligned actions. I didn't just go from totally fearful for anyone to know this thing, stigmatized taboo thing about me, to all of a sudden being like, here you go, guys, I'm Becca Antonucci, I've got herpes, all good. That was a process, a gradual expansion of my capacity to hold vulnerability, to be seen, saying things that were potentially uncomfortable for me to say or uncomfortable for someone else to hear. And the other part of that is an embodiment practice, something that actually shows love to yourself. There's an expression of love for women. It could be, and for men, can be a slow self-pleasure practice. It can be an embodiment practice of dance or movement. It can be intentional time with yourself. It can be intentional downtime. Some people like just lie on the couch and scroll the internet, but actually have no time with themselves. It could be a bath. It could be a shower, a bathhouse, but like some kind of down regulation practice that is truly giving back to yourself. That is like priceless.
Were those some of the things that you were guided through when you went to, was it Landmark?
Landmark. I started in Landmark and then I went through like so many different mentors to find the mentorship that I have now.
And was there something in that process where you're like, this was really the thing that helped me the most? Or was it just kind of an accumulation of all the different things and being around people that were really supportive?
Look, surrounding myself with like-minded community, absolutely, just like invaluable. That's what I loved about those rooms. Even though Landmark didn't fully align with me, I was like, whoa, people talking about things that matter. Like this is amazing. And then I feel like there's two different types of work. There's top down, where you go like very mindset-y, which I actually really like. There's a part of me that's like really masculine, really structured, really logical. So understanding where the trauma came from and unpacking those limiting beliefs, huge. Like having a personal hypnosis practice where I'm like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. What's going on for me? What's the belief? Where did that first stem from? That's like, I can do that in real time if something was to come up for me that's uncomfortable. As I've matured, you know, I'm 10 years older now, getting into my body and understanding, because I'm sure you've all heard of the book, The Body Keeps a Score. The Body Keeps a Score. So people are repeating. Book? Yes, there you go. The one that you got right in front of you. So lots of people are like, I'm aware and I've done the work and I know where it came from. And like, I'm still calling in that toxic ex, or I've still got the psycho boss, or money still sucks, because their body's holding the trauma. So as I've matured later on in life, and I'm like, God, I've done all the workshops and all the mentorship and all the training. Like, why are there still some limiting things holding me back? That's where I've been like, whoa, it's deep nervous system work on my body. That's actually where I get to create true change. And so that's the work that I've been up to the past 18 months.
And I think that checking in with yourself is like what we try to tell our clients often, because everybody's going through autopilot. whether it's
Yeah.
like everybody's just getting through the day versus actually like living every day. And I think
Yes.
that's really like one of the most toxic systems that we have right now in modern society, is that we have all of these distractions and we have all of these ways to unplug, but we're not unplugging, we're actually plugging in.
Mm.
And we're asking for more validation, more dopamine, more distraction, as opposed to like stepping back. Like, I don't know anybody, probably even including myself, who can sit for 10 minutes without this thing, without a television, without somebody entertaining them, where they could just be present with themselves and breathe and think. And that's like a very crazy thing to even imagine. And I'm sure that that's a lot of what you challenge your clients to do, is just be alone. Stop looking at the fucking phone every 3 seconds. Stop watching TV. Stop having to lean to food or events or saying yes to everything, and just kind of be with yourself for a little while.
Yeah. And I think a beautiful practice for anyone that's like, oh, 10 minutes without my phone and by myself, like, what? Why don't you figure it out? Like, why don't you just take some time for 10 minutes and just see what comes up for you? Discomfort, agitation, literally watch your body. Like, have you ever deleted Instagram off your mobile phone?
No, what are you fucking crazy? Are you psychopath?
I know that
I feel like we can't, because we have to be on it all day.
Yeah, I deleted it because it wasn't working, and then the update didn't work, so I deleted it and reinstalled it immediately, like a normal person.
Once I was like, time boundaries with my mobile phone, and my thumb, even though the app was gone, went to look for it.
Same spot.
Like, yeah. And just to notice, like, recognize what happens for you if you were to spend 10 minutes on your own. Do you need to move? Can you be present? Are you annoyed, irritated, anxious, agitated? I think that would be a great practice for any person, because I don't believe that I have the energetic capacity to ever hit burnout, because I've got so much energy. But a lot of women in my world are talking about burning themselves out and getting to a place where they're really run down and have no capacity to do anything. And so that's where the intentional downtime, intentional white space, as like a therapist would call it, is actually super powerful for you.
Yeah, the things that are hard to do, even physically, like if it's hard for me to touch my toes, that's a sign that I should be working on it. If it's hard for me to sit silently, that's a sign that I should be working on it.
Yeah. Especially now that we're all in a social media age where there's a lot of giving back, pouring into others. Like, if I know that the two of you are totally drained, burned out, hate your lives, and you're like, yeah, Beck, I'm going to help you. It's kind of like, if everyone was to know what was truly going on behind closed doors, do you want that person to be helping you? And so for us to be in our own integrity and congruency, we really have to support ourselves first, because I don't really believe that you can give sustainably long-term from an empty cup.
Yeah, I can't say how many times I've talked about the selfishness or selflessness. You have to be able to take care of yourself to be able to bring to other people what you can bring to them. And I wonder too, if just so many people, everything that you just described as burnout and all of that, is just the lack of passion in what they're doing. And it might be a career that they chose that they did like, but then they just lost the passion for it. And sometimes people might run from that career because it's, oh, it sucks, I hate it, thinking that something new, the new shiny object's going to be it. But if you don't have passion in what you're doing, it's going to suck. So some people just need to, what do you love about your career? What do you love about your relationship? What do you love about going to the gym and eating well, and then finding that passion again and being intentional with it versus just showing up? I mean, it's no fun doing anything when you're just showing up. You know, that's what gets the burnout, because it's like, I got to fucking be here all day. I don't want to be here. You're just going through the motions.
But the polar opposite of that is I've met a lot of women in the industry that I work in who love what they do, but they've worked so hard to try and keep up. You know, the internet world talks about everyone making $1 million in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like, now you're growing beyond what you really want to do. You know, it's like people. That's the we've talked about that before. It's, if the business isn't growing, then where's it going? It's like, it's okay to just kind of be at a place that you really, I like this number of clients. I like working with this number of people, and I'm actually happy. But is your business growing? No. Yeah. But my life is, and my soul is, and my spirit is, like, and I'm happy.
I mean, the amount of people that ask me about my business are like, is your business growing? And I'm like, no, and I'm not trying to make it grow. Like, I don't have the capacity to keep growing it. Like, if I have 1 or 2 new clients a month, fine, maybe. But I don't want to just keep trying to make more money for the sake of trying to make more money. And then what are you going to do with it? Because you're trading money for time always. I don't care how you slice it. And then you stop actually enjoying it. And then you start resenting the people that you just brought on and you become miserable again. So it's like, I never understood this undying need to chase. It's no different with people that are chasing an aesthetic or chasing something else that's either frivolous or on the surface, as opposed to, can you actually identify what makes you happy? Can you actually identify what makes you want to wake up every single day? Are you excited for a Monday as you are excited for a Friday? Are Tuesdays just as fun for you as Saturdays? And if they're not, you have to really look inside and understand, like, what is actually driving your life, and is it even you that's driving?
Yeah. I mean, I got the way that I got taught how to run my coaching business was like tracking, measuring, KPIs, all the things. And then I realized after about 2 years, the goodness of my months was dictated by the number that month had said that I'd done. And then I had some months where I had incredible times with friends or family, or my sister got a dog, or my cousin had her first baby. And then I'd be like, oh no, well, that month wasn't as good financially as the month prior.
Pardon? Fuck that baby. Fuck that baby.
Yeah, I know. That made the month bad. And it got to a point where I was like, I'm not measuring my life based on this number. That makes it, I'm doing air quotes again, good or bad. And then I realized also the community of people that I was involved in. Even when I was in Austin recently, someone turned around, they're like, what does your business do per month, Rebecca? And I was like, hey, I just had
changes lives.
I just had my Eat, Pray, Love year in Bali. Do you want to just ask me about my heart and how I'm doing it? You want to know what my business is doing financially? That's like the weirdest question. Ask me about me.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's like the standard thing, like, oh, what do you do? Instead of like trying to find out who somebody is or what they're about. Like, what are you interested in? We don't ask that. What do you do for a living? Like, so I can judge everything about you. Yeah.
But so that's a really great segue. I haven't used that word in a while. You're welcome.
Segue.
That's a really great
segue.
Turn the button on. Like a lot of women are basing their value and their success off the scale number, right? I used to weigh X, and when I weighed X, I used to feel a certain way, and that's what I want to get back to, versus I could be 15, 20, 40 pounds heavier, and I can still be a happy, fulfilled person. Maybe I can, maybe I've neglected myself a little bit. Maybe I haven't eaten as well as I should have. Maybe I haven't moved my body as much as I should have. But when you're addressing a person in that situation where they're just either staring at a pant size or staring at a scale number, what are some bits of advice you can give to that woman specifically, and just tell her, hey, if you keep looking at this one thing for validation or for fulfillment, you're not going to find.
Yeah. I would ask her or him what she or he thinks attaining that is going to get. So if I think that the confidence. Yeah.
That would be, I'd say, a typical response.
Okay. And then I would be like, confidence for what? And if you're speaking to a woman, I would say 90% of them, if not more, will be like, to find my partner. If I look a certain way, and the ones that aren't single, maybe to get my partner to stay, or so that my husband doesn't cheat, or I've gained weight since motherhood, or whatever the thing is. Like really unpacking, like, confidence for what? Like, what are you going to, once you're confident, I want you to be confident. I want every person on the planet to be confident. Confident to do what? What are you going to do with that confidence? You're going to start a podcast, start a business, fuck your husband more. Like, what are you doing with it? And like, what?
I'm going to start a podcast. When I lose the weight, I'll get the confidence and I'll start a podcast.
Great. And then I would be like, and then let's unpack why you need to lose the weight to start the podcast. If the podcast is the deepest desire, is if to experience more intimacy. Don't know if I'm allowed to drop the F-bomb on your show.
I've said it about 10 times so far, so you're good.
If deeper intimacy with your partner is what you deeply desire, why is the weight the barrier to you experiencing that now? So let's look at what the actual block is, because who says that once you lose the weight that starting the podcast is going to be easy, or experiencing intimacy with your partner is going to be easy, or your partner, your fear of him leaving and cheating is going to be eradicated? That's not true.
Yeah. And that's go ahead.
When it comes to relationships, I am very wise, Jim. So give me the floor now while I deserve it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I think there's an actual problem going on with relationships right now, because I think a lot of people are, and this is my take, I understand that I'm unique, I think people equate intimacy to physical sexual acts, right? Like people think like if I'm being sexual with somebody, I'm being intimate. To me, I separate the two completely. To me, sex is sex, intimacy is intimacy. Intimacy could be something as simple as, putting the kids to bed, getting the dogs and animals all settled, and now you and your spouse or your partner just spend some time together without devices, without the TV. Because if your quality of time or quality of time spent is in front of the television or at a movie or doing stuff with your kids or doing stuff with like your pets, it's taking away from time that you can be communicating and talking to one another and learning about one another, because things change, right? Like a lot of people get together in their 20s and early 30s, and then 10, 15 years go by and they become different people, but they still expect to interact as those people when they first met. And that doesn't make any sense because somebody has evolved. At least one of the two people has evolved. So if you can't find a way to be able to help each other evolve and spend some time with one another, not fucking, not doing shit in the bedroom, because whatever, that is part of it, but it's not all of it. And I would argue it's probably not even that big of a piece of it, because I feel like that woman who doesn't want to take her clothes off with her partner, if she just spent some time with him or he spent some time intentionally with her, getting to know her, understanding what she liked, what she didn't like, how her week was, what she wants to do in the next 3 years, I bet there would be more sexual connection anyway, just because of that.
Yeah.
My opinion.
And I 100% agree. I feel like deep intimacy requires intentional presence from two people to be able to, whether it's like you said, putting the kids to sleep is intimate. If it's a lack of confidence that a woman is experiencing, actually having the courage and the vulnerability to communicate, this is what's going on for me. I'm feeling insecure in my physical image right now. I believe that if I was to look different or look younger or lose the weight, that then maybe you would desire me more. Or I feel like I'm hindering us, or I'm requiring support from you. And I know that you're working a lot, but I need to find 3 hours in my week to work out. And I feel all this mum guilt around leaving the kids to go and exercise. And then all this guilt around you're providing for our family. Like that is actually the intimacy that's required to create the intimacy that he and she yearns for. It's got nothing to do with the scale, and it will create deeper physical intimacy sexually, but it requires that emotional state first.
Yeah. It's like that memory of I was leaner when we got together and he was all over me. And then the person thinks that it's all of a sudden going to come back, but it's like, no, everything that was Aram was saying, there's a lot of things that change over the years, but it's, I don't even know. I don't know. I had like a couple thoughts in my head. Now I'm lost. So why don't you talk? I'm going to take
I think that's perfect, because I think everybody expects life to just keep moving in this very nice, clean, straight line, just like anything else, right? Weight loss, money gains, your kids developing mentally or whatever as human beings and adults. Everybody expects this nice little upward trajectory to continuously happen. When in reality, anybody that's ever been on a road trip knows you're going to hit fucking traffic. Your tire's going to pop. You have to stop for gas. You got to stop to pee. You want to stop to look at the fucking scenery. So you have to be able to embrace all of this variability in life. And if you're not communicating, because I think the reason why couples don't get along, I think it has nothing to do with weight. I think it has nothing to do with body image. I think it has everything to do with the fact that they don't actually communicate how they're feeling in those moments. So if you're a woman and you're listening to this and you and your husband haven't physically connected in a very long time, instead of being afraid to have that conversation about how you feel with him, give him the opportunity by saying, hey, I don't feel good in my skin right now. This is why this is all happening. But maybe if we did this, this, and this, and we spent some time together, I would feel like you actually wanted to be with me and wanted to be present. And maybe that would start to spark the fire again, because people just aren't spending that time together.
Yeah.
Maria,
And
go ahead.
What the way that I like to think about this as well is there's two different things here. Like attraction is one thing and chemistry is something entirely different. So losing the weight and being like, oh, my husband is going to want to be with me more is kind of like me saying, well, I'm going to blow wave my hair and do all my makeup and put on my lingerie. And maybe you'll be like, oh, she looks attractive and I like want her. But that's not sustainable long term. Am I going to do that every single day for the rest of my life? My hair, my makeup, all the things. Nope. So what's actually going to create the true intimacy that you yearn for? It's not actually attraction. Yes, being embodied in our health values, taking care of our physical body, feeling good. From when I'm on my health, I feel good from within, and that's magnetic because I feel good. It doesn't probably feel that great to be with someone that doesn't feel great about themselves.
Correct.
But the chemistry is the deeper intimacy.
Yeah,
Attraction is like momentary. It's a one night stand. It's a Saturday night after when you've got all dressed up for dinner, but it's not sustainable long term.
Yeah, it's like this chicken or the egg kind of thing. Do I not feel good about myself with this extra 40 pounds because there's this lack of quote unquote intimacy with my husband? Or have I had this lifestyle that I'm not taking care of myself? So now I have less confidence and I'm actually pushing that person away. But then I'm blaming the weight on the husband not being attracted to me. But really, it's me pushing away because I'm not confident, comfortable in my skin. And so now it's, oh, this is why he doesn't want me. But really, he's just like, she pushes me away. She doesn't freaking want me to hug her. She's complaining all the time that, she doesn't have time for anything and yada, yada. But yeah, the communication, I feel like after a certain point, people are just communicating schedules. They're not communicating what they really do. Like, I need you to can you just rub my back? I hear women a lot. He should just know. My own mother, who will end up listening to this, I know my father will. My own mother went on a thing in like my Facebook group about like how like a woman shouldn't have to tell the husband or the boyfriend, whatever, they should just know.
No, they should tell.
Absolutely. I was like,
it's ultimately a dream of all of ours that you can all read minds. Even when I was leaving my partner, I'm like, how after 3 years have you not figured this out? But I'm like, we just, as women, we're really robbing our masculine life partners who have a natural desire to provide. We're robbing them of the opportunity to actually give us what we crave by not having the courage to request.
Yeah.
Well, it's always been funny. It's been funny to me in the sexual context, like when guys are like super confident that they can get a woman off. And I'm like, first of all, every woman is different. Every physiology is different. The placement of a clitoris is different. Everything is different on every woman.
Yeah, some's like on their hip, I think.
I think it's on the tip of their nose. That's what I heard about. I think if you just breathe on the tip of their nose, they will orgasm. But that might be wrong. But like guys get so like
some Brazilian men in Bali that can do that.
We know why she moved.
Yeah, I'm moving to Bali too. I just want to come. I want somebody to breathe on me so I can just get off.
You're gonna get a nose breathing mentor.
I like when I was in my 20s, it was always like, don't tell me what to do. I'll figure it out and I'll do it right. Now at 38 or 39, I'm like, give me the fucking GPS coordinates to where this thing is so I don't have to worry about it. I can get right to the source. You can have an enjoyable 15 minutes. And I know that I've done my part because listen,
very mechanic.
I have things to do. I have clients to service. I didn't say just once a day. Listen, okay, fine. 18 minutes.
He meant the first one.
You need to cut that part out of the podcast in case your future girlfriend's listening.
No, 18 minutes.
He meant the first one is 15 minutes, but he's always good for 3-4 hours straight. I know from experience.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. I have stamina when it comes to pleasing other people. I just don't have any stamina pleasing myself. But like a lot of people, like I have no problem with a woman telling me exactly what she wants and what she wants me to do, because then I know exactly that she's going to get what she needs. I think more women need to. Well, I think the problem is they don't have a safe space to communicate that with. That's the problem. Is when they feel nervous having to talk to their significant other about this stuff because they feel that rejection or that, what were the 3 things? Rejection,
betrayal, abandonment.
So I feel like they feel like they're not going to be received well in that message. But I would encourage every woman, if you're having problems in your relationship, or if you're having body image or doubt that's being aligned to physical connection, communicate what it is that you want.
Communicate it like you're communicating how to load the dishwasher.
Right.
With a lot of detail.
Exactly. I want to know precisely where the buttons are. I want to know where you want things to get put into what crevasse. And then at that point.
But you have to understand, again, circling all the way back to what we're talking about, this comes from a deep worthiness piece.
Yes.
To be able to, because it's very easy for me to tell Mr. Brazil in Bali exactly what I want, the exact way that I want, in all the specific ways that I want it. But once you put a woman in an intimate relationship with the person that she loves, now the fear of the person that she loves saying, actually, I don't like, if Mr. Brazil says no to me, I'm like, peace, all good. Yeah. But if my life partner is like, no, what does that mean about me? And that's where women get really challenged. And that's where women hold themselves back, specifically the kind of women that I work with of, oh my God, I love him now and I'm intimately connected with him. And if he rejects me, then everything that I've been trying to avoid my entire life is here. And that's why I feel like people have incredible one-night stand sex or casual sex, because there's nothing on the line. So being able to ask and express yourself courageously, that's done with ease because there's no risk.
So what you're saying is everybody should have one night stands.
I'm just saying, come to Bali and the Brazilians here. I'm telling the ladies, it's all good. We're having a good time.
I'm not going to Bali. We'll be the least of the men there if we go to Bali. Around.
Hey, listen, I'm fucking Russian. I can hold my own with a Brazilian. I'm good with that.
I don't mean fight them.
I'm not saying fight. I will out fuck every Brazilian in Bali right now.
For 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I treat orgasms like sets and reps.
I got stamina, baby.
Sets and reps, Beck. Sets and reps. 15 sets of 15 minutes is a lot of time. All right.
With 24 hours in between each set.
You remember the concept of progressive overload, right? That's progressive overload. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 15 sets of 15 minutes throughout the day.
It sounds like progressive underwhelm. That's what it sounds like, Aram.
You take it however you want. I know somebody's going to come. Somebody will come.
I just always feel like by the side of your bed, there'd be like a training manual and you'd be like recording it. Like, okay, set one done.
As a ledger.
Yeah.
Well, I have to rehydrate and I have to carb up between every single session to make sure that I'm performing optimally. This is just physiology, Beck. I'm just trying to be smart and scientific about this.
I love it.
So now that we've helped people with their body image and their confidence issues and their ability to orgasm, what parting words do you want to give our audience to empower them to be the best possible version of themselves today?
I always say the same thing, that avoiding emotional pain will only further perpetuate more pain in your reality. So if you were to end this podcast today and sit in curiosity about yourself, I would ask myself, what is it that I am avoiding?
It's tough.
I know what I'm avoiding. I procrastinate and don't do anything on time. Like I owe you something and I haven't given you anything on it. Me? I have to create I owe you the descriptions of stuff. Yeah, I know what I'm avoiding.
I owe you the virtual summit recording.
Yeah, you're not going to submit that. It's over.
I am going to submit that.
Okay, so let's deal with this right now. By when?
Yeah, let's go through a therapy session right now.
Okay, so I promised that by 6 p.m. Pacific time tonight, I will deliver those 3 descriptions to you, Jimmy. I love you, and I will never disappoint you again.
Thank you. I promise.
6 p.m. this evening?
6 p.m. this evening. I have 3 hours to complete, 2 hours to complete my task.
And Jim, by when do you commit to completing the?
Within the next 3 or 4 weeks, I will sit down and do the 20-minute recording. I will, if I do not do it this evening when we are done, I will get it done tomorrow before our podcast.
Okay, fair.
That's my commitment.
Okay, and if one of you doesn't fulfill the commitment, what's the wager?
Oral. What?
Are you going to film it and put it like in the show notes so that we can all watch it later?
It's going on YouTube.
It needs to be at least 15 minutes.
No, I'll send you $100. I'll pay the difference whatever you lose at Real Coaches Summit.
Don't do that because that's going to be expensive.
Yeah, we're going to get Beck to fly to Vegas for the Real Coaches Summit.
Yeah, I host an event for people and you should come. It's in Vegas in March.
Is it? What day?
March 10th through the 13th. It's a Sunday to a Wednesday.
Oh, I have a retreat in Bali the 18th, but I'm in Austin, Texas the last 2 weekends of February.
Oh, well, Austin's not far.
Doesn't help.
And we do have friends in Austin. And actually, I'm going to be in Texas the last couple of weeks of February as well, because I'm going to be at Raise the Bar in Dallas, which isn't far.
Really?
No. Well, we'll figure something out. The world is a small place.
Look at that. All right, so get to the root of your issue. Beck, we always like to ask this one last question to our guests. All right. Bye.